Good morning. My name is Stacy Kopsha. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a member of your board of directors. So my first time doing announcements, so bear with me. Welcome visitors and longtime members and new members and everyone in between. We are a diverse group of different races, genders, sexualities, backgrounds, and we're all here to be together, to learn and to grow. You're all welcome here, and you are all loved. As I begin, I want to respectfully acknowledge that I speak to you from occupied Puyallup and Coast Salish ancestral lands. I pay respect to elders past and present and extend that respect to all their descendants and to all Indigenous people. Our service is multi-platform. There's people in the service as well as joining us via Zoom online. Services are recorded and will be available to watch at a later time. The sanctuary is equipped with hearing assistant devices, which are located at the back of the sanctuary on a table. And if you need assistance, you can ask our technical team and someone would be glad to help you. You are invited to light a candle at any time during the service for a prayer and intention. For those of us joining in service today, please stay after and join us for tea and coffee and conversation. If you're new and you would like to chat, we ask that you use a red mug to signify that you'd like to be approached. Be sure to check our website, tahomauu.com, for the latest news and information. There are many ways to be involved with the church, and we're always looking for new volunteers. Please take a minute to look through the list of volunteers, and if anything jumps out at you or you have any interest, please email board@tahomauu.com or speak to any board member who has a purple name tag. Some highlights that are going on. We're currently collecting food, non-perishable food items. I have to read this one for the Hilltop Action Coalition's Food Equality Distribution Program. There's a box out in the foyer, and Maria is in charge of that. We are always looking for safe parking volunteers, and there's a list of those in the e-news, and we have an ongoing collection for the safe parking program and for the trans relocation program. Let's see. Patty is gonna talk to you about our visiting artist.
Good morning, everyone. As we've all been enjoying Pam's artwork in the sanctuary, and she's going to tell us a little bit about it. I don't know how many of you know Pam very well, but we will be meeting after the service. So probably about 15 minutes after the service, she has brought some yummy goodies. So please join us after service to talk about the artwork and the artist.
I should have done this too. We're also looking for volunteers for our RE program, which is the religious exploration program in the nursery and just being in the classrooms, and also looking for some strong able bodies to help swap out the couch in the nursery for a newer one. Just contact board@tuc.com if you're interested in able. There were two things up here. This key was found by the downstairs. If anyone's missing the key, it's up here. And the other is a note to say a prayer for Michael V. Ford. Say a prayer for my brother, and it says we lit a candle for him. So I'll say a prayer for him. And lastly, I wanted to thank all of the people who volunteer and put together our services, from the people in the tech booth to the coffee booth to the musicians, the greeters, the people downstairs who are doing RE and nursery. As a board member, I want to say I'm grateful for all of you for helping. It takes a village and a team, and you're all appreciated. And let's see. Please take a moment to turn off your electronic devices or put them in silent mode. I'm also wanted to invite our guest minister today. We have Reverend Deanna Vandiver, who will be joining us and leading our service today. I invite you all to take a deep breath, to relax, to let go of the distractions of our busy lives, and to settle into this space and to be here together in this moment. And now we begin our service.
Thank you, Mary Ann. We made it. Our opening words are a gift from Reverend Ashley Horan, director of our Unitarian Universalist Organizing Strategy team. You are loved beyond belief. You are enough. You are precious. Your work and your life matter. You are a part of a we, a great cloud of witnesses, living and dead, who have insisted that this beautiful, broken world of ours is a blessing, worthy of both deep gratitude and fierce protection. Whatever happens tomorrow, our ancestors and our descendants are beckoning us, compelling us onward with greater connection, greater compassion, greater commitment to one another, and to the earth. Together, we are resilient and resourceful enough to say yes to that call, to make it our life's work in 1,000 different ways, knowing that we can do no other than bind ourselves more tightly together and throw ourselves into the holy work of showing up like you did this morning, again and again, to be part of building that world of which we dream, but which we have not yet seen. Come, dear ones, let us worship together.
And if you'll join me in lighting our chalice. Today, Andrea and Petra and Vita are invited to light the chalice. Just wait till you see that. There we go. So we'll say the words. The words, or we light it first. Anything, go ahead and Liz. Andrea is one of our RE teachers. Yeah. And if you'll join me in saying the words on the screen, we light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come. Now I invite kids of all ages to come up front and join us. Oh, my goodness. Okay, thank you. Were you? So the first hymn is in the teal, singing the journey, number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When we trust the wisdom in each of us.
And now please join us, kids young and old, for our time for all of ages.
It's time for the armpit hug. Hello, friends. So good to be with y'all. Next Sunday is Human Rights Day around the whole globe. It's a whole group of Sundays, no kidding. It's an international holiday that 75 years ago, a whole bunch of countries got together and said, humans have rights and we should name what they are. And I want everyone to know that on December 10th, there will be a teach-in about World Human Rights Day. You're invited. USC and the College of Social Justice is hosting it. So here's the thing. Except for anniversaries, if people are talking about human rights, it usually means something bad has happened, right? Otherwise, we just have them. So there's a lot of really hard things going. A lot of people are talking about human rights right now. Yes? Anybody here? Yeah. There's a lot of conversation about human rights. And one of the things that really matters when there's a lot of really hard conversations happening is that we have our own tools and ability that we can be present to the conversations ourselves. And some of those tools we have right here in our bodies. One of my favorite practices that I learned a minute ago and that has helped me breathe in and breathe out and be present to these wild conversations about human rights is called the armpit hug. Yes, and so I will invite all y'all, if you're willing and able, to give this one a try. Are you ready? If you're willing and able, you take your hands and you bring them right there underneath your armpits, and then you gently let your elbows squeeze down on top. And then you take a breath in and out. And then with your fingers, if you want to, give a little squeeze to your side. Long before we knew what words meant, the people who cared about us would pick us up when we were very tiny, a long time ago, when you were very tiny. And when they would pick us up, they would usually pick us up right here under our armpits, and they would squeeze the sides. And our bodies, our whole beings learned that meant that our needs were about to get met. If we needed a clean diaper, if we were hungry, we were going to get fed. If we were sad, we were going to be comforted. And so our bodies learned that that little squeeze meant that we were going to be okay. Long before we even knew the word okay. Isn't that amazing? So I invite you as you breathe in and out, give yourself a little squeeze and know that whenever really rough things are happening, you can reach under with your hands, squeeze down, tuck in, and breathe out, and send your whole body the message that you'll be okay without ever using those words. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Thank you all so much for joining me in this fabulously named practice, the armpit hug. I appreciate y'all so much. Friends, may we rise in body and spirit and join in singing these fabulous human beings on their way to religious exploration.
We now come to the part of our service for our invitation to generosity. This morning, the words from John Saxon. As members and friends of this religious community, we share our time and energy, our creativity, imagination, and vision, our talents, skills, and gifts. And the streams of our individual lives create a river that is both deep and broad. A river that's made up of many streams, sustains life, and refreshes the land through which it flows. But now the river of this community also depends on our shared financial support that makes real our shared values and visions. Please, for those of you in the sanctuary, baskets are being passed. And for those of you online, you can see on your screen the different ways that you can donate to keep this river flowing, not only for the members of TUUC, but for the community. Thank you.
Please join me in dedicating our offering. The words are on the screen. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love, equal community, both within and beyond these walls. Please join in the meditation hymn and the singing the journey teal hymnals 1002, Comfort Me.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Speak for me, speak for me, speak for me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me, dance with me, dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Our reading today is Prayers of the People, created for the United Nations Environmental Sabbath Service in 1990. To bring new life to the land, to restore the waters, to refresh the air, we join with the earth and with each other. To renew for the forests, to care for the plants, to protect the creatures, we join in the earth and with each other. To celebrate the seas, to rejoice in the sunlight, to sing the song of the stars, we join with the earth and with each other. To recall our destiny, to renew our spirits, to reinvigorate our bodies, we join with the earth and with each other. To recreate the human community, to promote justice and peace, to remember our children, we join with the earth and with each other. We join together as many and diverse expressions of one loving mystery for the healing of the earth and the renewal of life.
And as we breathe in and out this morning, witnessing the prayers of the people, I invite you to settle even more into our collective gathering for this prayerful poem by Emergent Strategy organizer Adrienne Marie Brown. And we are never I, even when we are lonely, even when we distinctly suffer, even when we distinctly succeed. We are of a lineage, of collective, of era, of farmers' hands and strangers' prayers, of singers with their heads thrown back. We are always dancing with our ghosts and praying for our great-great-grandchildren. We are always the harvest, and the future is being decided. The future is being practiced. The future is being planted in this breath, and this breath, and this breath. And so I breathe in, noticing the gift I too often take for granted, not knowing how many breaths I have left. I want to spend them being love. Being love. Let's breathe in and breathe out. Stretching through history and heresy, splits and mergers, conflict and covenant, being love is a through line for this faith, for Unitarian Universalism. The through line practice of this emergent faith tradition is being love, not just professing love or believing in love, but being it. It is through the faithful practice of love that we fumble together towards beloved community, sometimes painfully, sometimes joyfully, always imperfectly. I want to thank y'all for the invitation to join you in worship today. I bring a message to you from your Unitarian Universalist Service Committee and your UU College of Social Justice, an invitation into global solidarity and local accompaniment, which you have already begun, I give thanks, as faithful practices of being love in the world. And I want to take a moment and celebrate that. The UU College of Social Justice is represented by a few bodies here today. I want to honor Gina Calignan for making the journey, Senior Associate for Justice Education. If y'all have any questions about experiential education, I give thanks that I have another colleague on the Pacific time zone. Let us say thank you. Speaking of solidarity. I also want to thank my partner for helping make the drive through the rain early today to get here. Solidarity is a concept I first began to understand in a collective sense as a college student. I was grieving the death of my cousin to what doctors called Kaposi sarcoma, and what no one in his immediate family would acknowledge was AIDS. Last Friday, December 1st, marked the 35th anniversary of World AIDS Day, a commemoration begun to resist the silencing and erasure of beloveds whose illness had been stigmatized as a punishment for loving outside the lines of coercive heteronormativity. Joining the Minnesota AIDS Project as a college intern, fresh off the farm in rural Georgia, I accompanied gay men to the state capitol to insist on inclusive healthcare coverage and destigmatizing legislation. We were a group representing many worldviews and life experiences, and we were showing up together because we knew that our well-being was tied together, and this was how we knew how to be love in the world. As a faithful fool writes, in solidarity as fools see it from the street level, if paternalism is a preference for superficial solutions to complex problems, solidarity is comfortable with complex and ambiguous solutions. As soon as multiple points of view are included in a decision-making process, things slow down. Does that resonate with anyone in a Unitarian Universalist congregation? Things slow down and get a little messy. Multiple points of view bring deeper insights, and deeper insights lead to meaningful solutions and real change. Paternalism favors pity and charity over systemic change because they keep the power structures intact. So very often, people will say of their acts of charity, they are able to understand the blessings of their own lives. Now, this is an important insight, and it should lead them to ask, and why is this so? Solidarity says, how is my well-being bound up with yours? What can we do to improve our mutual well-being? Let us work together. One of the beautiful gifts of our Unitarian Universalist Human Rights Organization, the UUSC, is the skillful practice of solidarity with grassroots partners around the world. If you are a supporting member of UUSC, I thank you, truly. And if you're not yet a supporting member of UUSC, I encourage you to join in. A donation of any amount makes you a member, and you will become a part of an organization whose human rights work matters now more than ever, and it has always mattered. Movement Generation is a justice and ecology project that first introduced me to a just transition framework during my ministerial internship in California a really long time ago, it turns out now. But they invite us to remember that rights are not given. Rights cannot be taken away. Rights are inherent and exercised. They aren't taken away, they're only violated. And the greater the infringement on the rights, the greater the violence. Colonialism and slavery infringe upon every possible right and freedom, and therefore require maximal violence. Rights only need to be articulated when they are violated or threatened with violence. Until then, they're understood as customary, and we're not talking about them, right? You only need to articulate the right to breathe when it is being infringed upon. You only need to articulate the right to breathe when it is being infringed upon. Y'all, the moment has come again and again when we must, it turns out, articulate the right to breathe. To breathe in the face of state violence and genocide and environmental racism and racist capitalism and a prison and military industrial complex that unapologetically values profits and property over human beings, over life, over breath. To breathe in the face of life-denying religious nationalism, in the face of white Christian nationalism in the United States, Hindu supremacy in India, Zionism in Israel, Islamism in Afghanistan, the moment has come again when we must articulate the right to breathe. I want to invite us to take a moment and breathe in and out. In and out. Once more, in and out. I've heard that there are some folks with vast systemic power and resource distribution advantages. And for them, the violation of human rights may seem like a distant or abstract concept, but for everyone else, human rights violations are embodied experiences that can change everything, can end everything. Need an armpit hug in the moment? You have that in your toolkit now. And rather than be frozen by overwhelm, Rachel Gore-Freed, a human rights lawyer and UUSC's vice president of programs, invites us to consider that there is another story to tell about these crises. It's a story of how networks of locally led civil society organizations that includes us. Create nimble mutual aid systems. Provide the most radical forms of care and political solidarity woven into these acts of resistance. These networks are run by people often without access to funding who forge new systems through mutual collective action and collaboration. During a human rights crisis, these networks are organized despite current power structures, failing public institutions, inept government policies. Through mutual aid, these human beings are reclaiming and building community power. Now, a solid example of nimble mutual aid systems providing radical care is Queer SVIT. It's a global human rights partner supported by UUSC. Queer SVIT is an organization made up of people helping LGBTQ+ folks impacted by Russia's full-scale invasion of the Ukraine and the subsequent war, as well as those whose lives are threatened by rising authoritarianism in Russia and Belarus. Perhaps it will not surprise you to hear that racism, homophobia, and trans antagonism harmfully impact which evacuees do and do not receive help when escaping danger. So to address this inequity, 2 Black Ukrainian non-binary people came together to found Queer SVIT to assist LGBTQ+ people and people of the global majority, Black, Indigenous, people of color, impacted by the full-scale invasion. Queer SVIT provides financial assistance, housing, transportation, evacuations, legal support, help settling in new countries, along with guidance and connections to further resources. And y'all, a bit closer to home, and in a very similar human rights violation struggle, an organization led by Indigenous trans activists approached the Unitarian Universalist Association, the UU College of Social Justice, and the UUSC earlier this year to ask if we could help trans and gender expansive folks relocate to safer states, connecting mutual aid networks for financial assistance, housing, transportation, evacuations, legal support, and help settling in new states, along with guidance and connection to further resources. Sound familiar? Yeah. These grassroots partners had already experienced violations of their own human rights and foresaw that hateful wave of human rights violating legislation that came down this year, more to come next year. And what we're now calling the Pink Haven Coalition. Pink Haven Coalition, just let it lie on me, yes. It's come to include the UU College of Social Justice and the USC because these organizations noticed that the accompaniment work the UUs have been doing, coordinating with congregations in supporting asylum seekers. Have y'all heard of our Congregational Asylum Project for Asylum Seekers? Yeah, deep gratitude for everyone who's been a part of that. And these activists saw that work and said, oh, you have accompaniment work. You know how to do that. We wonder if Unitarian Universalists can have the networks, infrastructure, and desire, being love in the world, to support a different kind of asylum seeker, one driven from their US-based homes and communities. As Aaron Reed of Aaron in the Morning, if you haven't found their work, I encourage you, has written, several states have rolled out a slew of laws targeting every facet of transgender lives, from censoring books that address their existence, stifling associated art forms, banning healthcare, policing their very movements with bathroom bills. In stark contrast, a band of states has forged ahead in the opposite direction, enacting laws that shield transgender individuals from these crushing works. So I want to invite us to take a breath in and out and celebrate that we live in a state that has forged ahead in the opposite direction, enacting laws that shield trans and gender expansive beloveds from the crushing human rights violations that have been enacted by, as of this writing, 38 of the 50 states. If you've been part of the organizing that's made this happen, thank you. Let's celebrate each other. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, the bills that are coming, the ones that have been passed. They're trying to legislate trans and queer people out of existence. Please know this is not a hyperbole. The patriarchy requires a binary. It's not confused. Because of these laws, trans people in the United States now meet the definition of internally displaced people, or IDPs, as defined by the United Nations. Hundreds of thousands of trans people and their families have already fled their homes for safer states. And according to a 2023 Data for Progress survey, more than 1 million trans and gender expansive human beings are considering moving for their lives. So in partnership with trans and gender expansive activists, UUs are in an interfaith coalition with Quakers, Jews, Mennonites, the United Church of Christ, and as many more. The Pink Haven Coalition is connecting with every group willing to say, no, we won't let this happen, not on our watch. Everyone willing to show up in solidarity. So we're working together to create these networks of safety and direct support for those trans beloveds and their families who need to relocate, access healthcare as soon as possible, access healthcare across state lines, or stay and be supported as safely as possible where they are. And because Washington is a state where human rights organizers have managed to protect the human rights of trans and gender expansive beloveds, we got to celebrate when we can, y'all. Many beloveds, trans and gender expansive, are heading this way with the support of the Pink Haven Coalition. So I come to you this morning with a very concrete and local invitation into accompaniment, into a mutual aid network practicing engaged empathy and relationship with human beings resisting violations of their human rights. Through accompaniment, we are invited into a deeper understanding of how our well-being is bound up together with the people around us. I want to celebrate that y'all are already starting to have this conversation, and that's part of why I was invited to speak with you this morning. The UUSC is actively asking Washington UUs to offer welcoming villages to serve as hosts and housing support for internally displaced trans and gender expansive persons and their families. Now, while many UUSC's calls to action are asking you to call or write your legislature or your senator or to sign a letter to the UN, this is an ask for worthy accompaniment. There's such a high need for emergency transitional housing in Washington for beloveds heading this way from states where they're being persecuted or prosecuted, that we invite you to take a truly mindful inventory of your collective resources. Do you have access to RVs, vacation rentals, or additional dwelling units that can be repurposed for accompaniment housing in this moment? And for those of y'all truly called to hospitality, guest rooms to be available for temporary movement time. If this is an action that calls to you, or if you're connected to Washington-based resources that could support this effort, please let us know. Chrissy Kim has graciously agreed to be your point of contact here for this works, and I want to celebrate that she's with Religious Exploration right now, helping folks figure out what would UUs do. Thank you, Chrissy. So if you're willing and able to be a part of this faithful accompaniment, please be in touch with Chrissy. A passenger is arriving via the Pink Haven Coalition to a town very near y'all very soon. So this is imminent. It's not an abstract ask at all. It's an invitation to practice being love in the world. Dr. Takia Nur-Amin, a member of the Black Lives of Unitarian Universalist Organizing Collective Board, reminds us in the call of our faith, we're being invited into this cosmic dance of renewal and joy and justice, but you have to make the justice. Doesn't just show up without our participation or our effort. Things don't get better just by us waiting for them to happen. We all have to engage in the better making from wherever we are. And each moment presents an invitation for us to do that. I don't want us to forget that. Even if, like me, they write, you are tired or feeling frustrated or feeling unsure, the invitation to participate in a manner that is about living our values, living love and justice, is still there, no matter what else is going on. We are invited into the spiritual practice of an accompaniment, to be with, to be love. Edward Shemp, the Unitarian who's one of the two named plaintiffs in the 8-1 Supreme Court ruling on June 17, 1963, the one that barred mandatory Bible reading in public schools, that one, the separation of church and state, wrote, Unitarian Universalism is a faith in people, hope for tomorrow's child, confidence in a continuity that spans all times. It looks not to a perfect heaven, but towards a good earth. It is respectful of the past, but not limited to it. It is trust in growing and conspiracy with change. It is a spiritual responsibility for a moral tomorrow. And so we take a breath. We remind ourselves we are held by a vast web of love, a great cloud of witnesses, living and dead, who have insisted that this beautiful broken world is a blessing worthy of both deeper gratitude and fierce protection. We can show up together in solidarity and accompany each other with a spiritual responsibility for a moral tomorrow. May it ever be so. Take that breath. And I learned from our dear Doug, who's ill today, we send him care, that this community has a practice of setting an intention. And so in this moment, I invite you to take a breath in and out and receive the invitation Dr. Takia Nur Amin gives us, this invitation to participate in a manner that is about living our values, living love and justice, no matter what else is going on. You have been invited to participate in accompaniment and solidarity. You are already being loved in the world. What intention do you set in this moment? I give thanks for this collective of faithful souls being love in the world. And I invite you to rise and body your spirit for our closing hymn, 108, My Life Flows On in Endless Song. Singing the living tradition.
I hear the real, the far of him that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo storm can shake my inmost calm, while to the rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing when tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near? How can I keep from singing to prison cell and dungeon vile? Our thoughts to them are winging, when friends by shame are undefiled. How can I keep from singing?
Oh, friends, for our closing words, I invite you to join me in a call and response to one stanza from that Prayers of the People: to recreate the human community. To promote justice and peace. To remember our children. We join with the earth and with each other. Yeah, we do.
We're waiting for the words for them. There you go. If you join me in saying the extinguishing to the chalice words: we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And if you'll join in our closing blessing song.
You are enough. You are precious. Your work and your life matter, and you are not alone. Together, we are resilient and resourceful enough to say yes to the call of accompaniment and solidarity, to be love in the world. Go in peace. Go to coffee hour. Go learn about art. Go know that you are so loved, and be love in the world. Thank you, beloved.